Okay, looks like we are going live. Hello everybody, Chuck Holton here. How's it going? I'm coming to you from Jerusalem tonight, and I'm back in my favorite spot here. As you can see, it's about sunset here, 7:47 p.m. And I don't have a chat box up. I need to pull that up. I'm sure we've got some people online. Close that. See if I can pull up a live chat box here so I can see what you all are saying. Tell me where you're coming in from. If you're watching, looks like we got almost 500 people online right now. Tell me where you're watching from as I get this chat box working somewhere. No? Chat is disabled for this live stream. Okay, so I got to go fix that. Stream settings. Viewer activity. I'm not sure why the settings got disabled. I'll go in here and fix that real quick. Streaming software restrictions. What happened? Why are we not chatting? Customization. There we go. There it is. Okay. Live chat. All right. I just turned on the live chat box, and so we should now have a live chat. All right. Sorry about that. Yay, we got a live chat box. Okay. You know, it's been really crazy. I have been, running around shopping today and things like that. Several days since I've been back in Jerusalem. And holy cow, I can't believe how many people I run into who are watching this live that I do every night. It's crazy. I can't believe there are so many people that are, going live. That's just awesome. So thank you if you're watching, and thank you for, coming up and saying hello to me when I'm walking around in the street. If I seem like I'm in a hurry, it's usually because I'm on my way to do something, and it sort of never fails that we get, I get somebody or a couple of somebodies who recognize me and then want to talk, and I'm like, oh, I'm really sorry, but I'm late for something. I got to go. So thank you for being online. I should have Nathan online here moderating, and so we appreciate him. I want to talk about the expected attack because, this idea that perhaps they were waiting for Tish B'Av, the 9th of Av, which is actually the 12th, to attack. Well, we're getting late on the 11th. So if Iran is going to attack Israel, sometime in the next 24 hours would be the time to do it. The problem is, as I've mentioned before, their window has started to close. That's because the United States has moved a bunch more ships into the region. They have put together this coalition of countries from across the Middle East who have said that they will help to shoot down whatever missiles Iran decides to send. And it just looks like Iran sort of lost its window. And so, not surprising, along with the diplomatic pressure, we'll talk about that more in a minute, that has been put on Iran, there was an attack in a Kuwaiti newspaper which cited sources claiming the United States and Iran were in a dialogue to prevent an attack by Iran in order to allow a ceasefire deal in Gaza. So basically Washington is saying, we went to the Ayatollah Khamenei via back channels, and we told them, look, you really don't want to do this because it's going to derail the peace talks. And we know you want peace as much as everybody else, you know. And this is the story that's coming out of the United States anyway. And the supreme leader bought it and decided to postpone the attack on Israel. This is according to this Kuwaiti newspaper called Al Jarida, which came out today. They cited an unnamed senior Iranian official and claimed that the president, the new president of Iran, wants to postpone their response while the U.S. redoubles its efforts to advance ceasefire talks between Hamas and Israel. I'm reading now. According to Iran and its proxies, they would also halt hostilities if Hamas agreed to a ceasefire. Well, that's what they've been saying all along. So that's nothing new. This is off of Ynet News, and I will post the link in the chat box. Whoops, I just accidentally clicked on an ad. You know how bad that is. Let's see if I can go back to this chat. Where did my chat box go? This is why I like having multiple monitors when I do these from home, because then I can kind of see everything at once and get everything arranged. But when I'm just on my laptop here, I got a lot of windows open, and it's kind of hard to find things sometimes. Okay, so I put that up. Now let's talk about the real reason why Iran may have decided to postpone, if not outright cancel, this apocalyptic attack that they've been talking about for, what, a couple weeks now. And that is, well, severalfold. Number one, as I've said before, their window is closing because more countries, including the United States, are getting assets into this region that could likely stop or at least blunt very heavily any attack from Iran. You know, it's not crazy to say that with the force posture that the United States has in the region now, that the United States could likely shoot down most, if not all, of the missiles that Iran could fire without even the Iron Dome getting involved, the United States and its allies. So we've beefed up the ADA, the air defense capability of Jordan. Saudi Arabia's got a robust capability. We've got troops in Syria and Iraq that could, and we've got anti-missile defenses there. And all the planes that we have here now, including F-22s, F-35s, and F-15s, and more that are on the ships there, you're talking about a substantial armada of defensive capability that could just stop any attack from Iran. Now, some people, there's been rumors that the United States has also hinted at the fact that it would directly strike Iran and take out some of its important sensitive sites, military bases and, you know, aircraft facilities and drone manufacturing. We'd love nothing more than to absolutely, you know, crush their drone manufacturing capabilities, because that would also save us money and help out in Ukraine. And it would hobble some other bad actors that are buying those drones as well. So there are rumors that we have said that. I wonder how true those rumors are. I think, knowing what we know about the current administration in the United States, what we would be more likely to expect would be that the United States would be promising Iran things through the back channel, like, hey, don't do this attack, and we'll ship you another $4 billion in cash on a pallet in the middle of the night, like we did during the Obama administration. Or maybe we will do something that will help ease the sanctions. You know, we've already done that. The Biden administration has been extending sanctions waivers, if you can believe it. Like, what's the point of sanctions if you're going to start giving waivers? That's like saying to your kid, you're grounded because you lied to me or you did something wrong. So you're grounded for a month. But you can still go to parties, you can still go out with your friends, and you can still pretty much do whatever you want. But when you're at home, you're definitely grounded to the house. And I mean, that's basically what sanctions waivers are. Now, there are reasons why we have done that. Like, for example, we gave sanctions waivers to Iraq to buy energy from Iran so that Iraq could, have the cheaper energy. A smart president would have, rather than giving sanctions waivers, would have said to Iraq, the United States has got more oil than anybody else in the world right now because of our proven reserves and everything. And so we will ramp up our production of oil and we'll ship it to you in Iraq if you need energy. Now, while we're on the subject of sanctions, I want to talk about the ways that Iran gets around the sanctions that are put on it, okay? Because they have found lots of creative ways to sort of make these sanctions kind of toothless. Number one, Iran's major product that it makes money off of in the world market is oil. And since there's been a ban on the purchase of Iranian oil, when we put a sanction on there, we just tell any, other countries, look, please don't buy oil from Iran. And we're all going to agree in the Western world not to do that, and that's going to hurt Iran's oil industry. Well, what Iran's been doing is they've been selling oil to countries like China, who have been approaching Iran and saying, hey, we know you can't sell oil like you normally do, but we'll give you pennies on the dollar if a little bit is better than nothing. And they've done the same thing with Russia. This is how China is, maybe not directly kinetically involved with the wars in Ukraine and between Israel and Iran, but they are involved because China takes advantage of the sanctions that we put on bad actors, and because they have absolutely zero morals or ethics or anything in China. I mean, I've always said that the national motto in China should be, if you're not cheating, you're not trying, and if you get caught, you're not trying hard enough. That should be the total motto of China. And so one of the ways that China cheats is they go to Russia, they go to Iran and say, yeah, we know nobody else is buying your oil because you're really bad people, but we'll buy it from you at a highly discounted rate, of course, and they just use it for their benefit. I'm going to put another light up here. So in so doing, Iran has the ability to get around the sanctions and to continue to sell its oil, albeit at a lower price, but a little bit is better than nothing. Is that too bright? Let's see how that looks. Whoa, that's pretty bright. I think that might make the camera look better, though. We'll see. So, that being the case, Iran sells its oil to China, but it can't do it directly because there are basically no ships that can get insurance in order to ship oil to China because it's illegal. They're breaking the law, the international law. And so what they do is they have a ghost fleet of ships. All right? And this ghost fleet of ships will meet Iranian oil tankers offshore, like somewhere out in the middle of the ocean. They'll pull up next to one another at a specified grid coordinate, and they'll do a ship-to-ship transfer of the oil onto these ghost ships that are basically uninsured. And then those ghost ships will take the oil to Chinese ports, and they'll refine it there. And that's how they do it. Now, there would be a really easy way to keep this from happening. If you think about it, all we would have to do is sink a few of those ships. And you can bet your bottom dollar, we know where they are. We know when they're doing their sea-to-sea, ship-to-ship transfers at sea. And all we'd have to do is send a couple of them to the bottom. That's not going to make the environmentalists real happy, but you'd only have to do it once or twice. And these ghost ships, they have owners who are making big money off of these transfers, right? Because they're charging a premium for not being able to insure their ships. But still, they don't want to lose their ships. And if they lost a few of them, we might, act as a deterrent to these unscrupulous characters who are assisting Iran in, ship-to-ship transfers and, getting their oil to market. Question, are the Iranian people really rising up? I wouldn't say they're rising up, but they certainly are against the regime by and large, and they are brutally repressed when it's found out that somebody has said something or done something that the regime disagrees with. I've interviewed many of the dissidents myself who have fled to Armenia, and it's bad. It's not a good place to live in Iran right now. So hopefully that answers your question, Gracie. Just try to catch a couple other questions here. Is Iran taking a huge risk at firing missiles into Israel? What's stopping those missiles from hitting Gaza and innocent people? Good question, Rob. They are not, so far, other than April 13th, they are not firing any more missiles into Israel. Their missiles are supposedly precision-guided missiles, precision fires, but they're not very precise. But they are at least precise enough not to hit Gaza. They're not going to aim at something that's probably within a couple of kilometers of Gaza for that very reason. And there's a lot of things that they could aim at. There's a lot of Israel to aim at that is outside of a 2-kilometer radius from Gaza, because 2 kilometers is about the margin of error that many of these missiles have. Okay? So hopefully it answers your question. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, sundown tomorrow is the beginning of Tish B'Av. So we're going to try to get a lot of sleep tonight, because tomorrow night we may not get any if they do decide to attack. Now, they are attacking anyway? No, they're not attacking, Jimmy. I mean, wait a minute. Maybe you're answering somebody else's questions. So we have gotten some, let me just show you here. We've gotten some notifications today about your standard attacks out of the north from Hezbollah. And so my Shofar app shows that we've had 2 attacks today up in the north. That's actually less than usual. Now, yesterday we had a whole lot of attacks. If you look at these, we've got this is just one of 3 major attacks that happened yesterday up along the northern border. So went all the way from south of Kiryat Shimona to which is a place called Safad, all the way over to Shomera, which is just north of Ma'alot. And that is more along the lines of what we have been seeing almost every day for the last few weeks. So, it has been ramping up in the north. But we have not seen yet this massive, catastrophic attack that Hezbollah has been warning about, saying that they were going to do. And there are several reasons why we haven't seen that. Perhaps Iran still wants to coordinate something with them. And they've been, the news coming out says that they've been fighting over when to attack. Hezbollah wants to attack, right away. Iran wants to wait and coordinate. Hezbollah is kind of like, look, if you guys aren't going to do it, we're going to go ahead and do it. And this is exactly what we've been praying for, as I mentioned on previous lives. I've said we've been praying that Israel's enemies would be, unable to come to a consensus, that they would be at each other's throats. They would have no agreement on what to do, and that they'd even just be fighting one another, arguing back and forth. And that's exactly what we've seen. So that's a real answer to prayer, and we should thank God for that. But on top of that, the Hezbollah fighters are saying, well, we still want to do this. And perhaps Iran is saying, look, just hold off, because the pressure we're getting from the United States, either pressure or promises, I don't know which. There's no news coming out that says that the United States is trying to coerce or cajole Iran into not attacking. I'm just saying it wouldn't surprise me, because of the history between Democratic administrations in the United States, especially since Barack Obama, and the Iranian government. Barack Obama did not threaten Iran. He did not make a practice of threatening Iran. He made a practice of trying to befriend Iran. But if we're just nice enough to them, then they'll stop being so mean to everybody. They'll stop doing what they're doing. That was Barack Obama's strategy. Didn't work out too well. Cost the American people billions of dollars. And here we are, right? So it obviously didn't work. But it would not surprise me if the Biden administration is, again, through the back door, having discussions with Iran that would promise some pretty juicy benefits if Iran will not attack. And that would give the Biden administration politically the ability to claim that they had stopped the war. That's why they're pushing so hard for a peace deal before October. I mean, the United States has been ramping up the pressure, not on Iran, not so much on Hamas, very much on Israel, to accept a bad deal at the negotiating table rather than accomplish their objectives of defeating Hamas. And the reason for that is purely political. It's because the Biden administration wants to be able to say, we ended the war in Israel and look how great we are. So it wouldn't surprise me if they were giving a wink and a nod to Iran over there and promising something big if only they will rein in their proxies like Hezbollah. And we haven't seen any missiles today out of the Houthis either that I know of. So there you go. Let's see. We have an Iranian. We are at Iranian people love Israeli people around the world. I hope that's an Iranian woman, Kevian Ramchahi, who is saying that. And that would be in line with what I have found speaking with some other Iranian women who have fled to Armenia. That, look, the Iranian people don't have that big a problem with Israel. And we just wish our government would just leave them alone. Rick says, yet Israeli Americans will vote Democrat in November. I think that fewer of them will, because they see what's going on. But you have a bunch of Israeli Americans who hate Israel as much as they hate America. They're very, very liberal, and they donate a lot of money to democratic causes. And when you hear them speak, it's absolutely clear they despise Israel, even though they are Israeli, and they despise America. So I'm not sure what you would call an Israeli American who hates both of those countries, except perhaps depraved. Because depraved people see good things as bad and bad things as good. So they would hate their own, you know, their own country, or countries as it were, okay? So if you've got questions, go ahead and ask them. I've got the quote up. Kivyan Ramchai says, we're fighting every day to take back our country. I hope you're coming in. Kivyan, are you coming in from Iran, or are you an Iranian outside of Iran? Breaking news, Amir Tsarfati says the Iranians have said their response is beginning. So let's go look at what he is saying. Okay, top commander, he's quoting the Tehran Times off of X or Twitter, saying the IRGC top commander said that Iran's severe retaliation is underway. So we have not received any other notice except for by the commander of the IRGC. Now, if this were to happen, and it wouldn't surprise me if they had put out some misinformation to the newspaper in Kuwait saying we've decided to postpone, and then head fake and start launching missiles. That's the kind of thing that Russia would do, and Iran definitely plays out of the same playbook. So there's also news from Amir Tsarfati saying U.S. forces to withdraw from Iraq completely. The foreign minister of Iraq will travel to Washington next month to announce the withdrawal of American military forces in a press conference. This will be seen, this is, you know, not surprising. Before the election, it was kind of a no-brainer to think that the Biden administration or the Harris administration, I'm not sure who's in charge right now, would want to pull troops out of Iraq in order to claim that they had ended the war in Iraq as well. Even though successive presidents since George Bush have all claimed that they ended the war in Iraq, and we still have people there. The problem with pulling out U.S. troops out of Iraq right now is that U.S. troops in Iraq and Syria have been attacked like 175 times since the beginning of the war in Israel. And for us to pull out now looks exactly like surrender. It looks exactly like losing. And so, you know, it's kind of like when people that I'm supporting with our funds that you guys donate, I want to keep them from getting dependent on me. And so if they ask me for money, I usually don't give them money. I usually wait to give the money until they haven't asked me for a while, and then I'll send them some money. And that helps keep them from getting dependent. In the same way, if were going to pull out of Iraq, we need to do it when we decide to pull out of Iraq, not when Iraq says, we don't want you guys here anymore. Iraq has said that for some time, and we're still there. So anyway, we'll see. if the IRGC commander is not bluffing, which he, you know, this is the same guy who was about, I don't know, 5 days ago, came out and was saying that their response would wipe Israel off the map. They would absolutely destroy Israel. If this is the same guy, so I mean, I guess take it with a grain of salt, right? But if Iran's response, the severe retaliation, is actually underway, well, diplomacy has failed, and we're now on to the kinetic phase of this operation, and we will see what happens. Amir is not reporting that the retaliation is happening. He's reporting that the Tehran Times is reporting that the commander of the IRGC is reporting that the severe retaliation is happening right now. We're in Jerusalem. You can see there are no sirens going off. We've not gotten any alerts on shofar yet. So let's see here. I'm just going to check a couple other channels here. Manny's War Room says nope, nothing there. Now, I mentioned before that there are several things that Iran could choose to do by way of response or retaliation. And some of them are smarter, some of them are dumber. Just the fact that they're smarter probably means that Iran won't do them. They won't do the smart thing, which is just to try to keep Israel on high alert as long as they can and then not actually do anything. Because then that costs Israel almost as much as if they had launched missiles, but it doesn't cost Iran anything. That would be the smart thing to do. And maybe that's what this IRGC commander is trying to do. Maybe he's engaging in that sort of misinformation on purpose to try to make everybody here go, oh no, oh no, oh no, you know, and get them inured to the warnings to the point where they're sort of, whatever, and quit running to the shelters and then attack, right? Something like that. That would be the smartest course of action. But because it's the smartest course of action, I don't think that they're going to do it. I also said that they could choose a cyber attack. Well, news came out just yesterday that the Trump administration got hacked by the Iranians. And now this happened before the killing of Hania. And so this is not retaliation. But it is indicative of the kind of things that Iran could endeavor to do in the cyber realm. As I have, hang on a second. Let's see here. A friend that lives there says everyone relies on the Iron Dome and life goes on. Yes, that's correct. One Tired Mama says, have the Israelis surrounded the Temple Mount yet? Well, hang on a second. I don't see him. The Temple Mount's right over there, so I don't see anything going on over there. So I guess not. Prophecy unfolding, rapture, etc., etc. Just checking for other questions here while I'm. Did they circle the Temple Mount yet? Yeah, I'm not sure what that's all about. Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean by that. Who said that they were going to encircle the Temple Mount? I haven't seen that. You guys leave me a message in there and or maybe a link to an article or something. I'll go read up on that. I was down at the Temple Mount yesterday and the day before, and nothing out of the ordinary seemed to be going on down there. So I guess not. Okay, so this cyber attack is the kind of thing that Iran could do. I don't know that the mullahs would be satisfied with that, because that's something that they're doing all the time. They're always attacking in the cyber realm. And so unless they figured out a way to do something really spectacular in the cyber realm, which I kind of doubt, then nobody would notice. It would be like, oh, a few more missiles came across the northern border from Hezbollah. You know, that's it. So I don't believe that that is, a real problem. Let's see here. Remember, drones take 2 hours to get to Israel from Iran. Yeah, but their missiles can get here in as little as like 4 minutes. So if they fired drones, we'll be hearing about it in the next couple of minutes. So stay tuned. It'll be coming out. Snow White, thank you, but I really don't have the authority to allow people from outside to mod on CBN's channel. I did that with One Tired Mama out of desperation one night, and she's done a great job, and I should probably turn her back off. No offense to One Tired Mama, but like I said, it's not my channel, and they give me access to the back end so that I can get on here and do these lives, but I probably shouldn't be messing around by giving people permissions that they haven't agreed to let me give, if that makes sense. We've got my family on here, so that'll help. Now, while I've got you, first of all, you should go support CBN News over at cbn.com and keep us in the field. You can donate over there. They do a lot of good in addition to the news gathering that we do. And so it's a worthy cause. And not only that, if you look up CBN's philanthropic activities on Charity Navigator, what you'll find is that we have one of the lowest overhead costs of any charity out there. Very, very low, less than 1% of the donations that CBN receives go back into, overhead. They get out to the people to help them, and so our CEO's not running around making $1 gazillion a year or anything like that. They do a lot to not only make good use of the money people give, but also leverage the money that is given in order to have an outsized influence. So people give $1 million and we'll have $5 million of effect on whatever we give it to because of the way that they have figured out to give it. And that's a whole nother story. I'm not talking about red heifers. Not even going there. No more red heifers for me. What happens if Iran, Egypt, Lebanon, Yemen, Syria, and Turkey all launch missiles from every missile launcher they have, all at the same time? That would be bad. National Fruitcake Outlet. Is that really your username, or did you do that just to make me say National Fruitcake? I want a National Fruitcake t-shirt. I know some people that should definitely have one of those t-shirts because they're definitely national fruitcakes. Well, here's the thing. Iran, Egypt, Lebanon, Yemen, Syria, and Turkey might all be on the same sheet of music in terms of not liking Israel, but they all have very different, they're coming from very different places in terms of their ability to strike at Israel. Syria really doesn't have much ability to strike at Israel. We've all seen the Houthis in Yemen and what they can and cannot do. They've really struck. They've fired hundreds and hundreds of missiles and drones and all sorts of things out of Yemen, and they've only managed to get, I think, one drone or missile into Israel and kill somebody. So they're kind of just an annoyance, like a little mosquito. Turkey, if they tried it, would probably lose their place in NATO and find itself perhaps directly in conflict with another NATO country, the United States. That would be very, very bad for them politically, and so they wouldn't probably do that. Egypt is just trying to stay out of this because they have had their clocks cleaned by Israel so many times, and the United States basically pays them off to leave Israel alone, and they don't want to lose that cash. So I don't think Egypt would do it. They've already said they're just going to sit this out. To answer your question, if all of those fired at once and coordinated their attacks, it'd be very bad for Israel, sure. The likelihood of that happening is pretty low, so I wouldn't worry about it. Cindy Hurd says, can I ask a question about Ukraine? Tell you what, ask a question about Ukraine over on my, well, I don't know. If you guys have a question, tell you what, go ahead, Cindy. I've seen you around here before, and I don't want to not answer people's questions. If you have a question about Ukraine, go ahead and ask it, and I'll see if I can answer it as quickly as possible. Do you think Iran is waiting for the 9th of Av to retaliate? That's been a rumor that's been floating around. I don't think Iran really cares about Jewish holidays. And so personally, my personal opinion is no, they're not waiting for the 9th of Av. They can't get their act together. They're trying to figure out how to get their act together and be able to attack Israel in a way that doesn't result in much more damage to Iran than it does to Israel. Okay, Jimmy the Jew from Philly. Israel of today is like the time of Solomon. The orthodoxy didn't start being a thing until Hosea. Okay. Cindy Hurd is phenomenal. Okay, well, Cindy Hurd, ask your question. I'm waiting. In the meantime, we can talk about how Russia is involved in this conflict because they have been down there assisting Iran with missiles. And I think it's more of a trade, really, because they've been getting a lot of drones from Iran. And so I think in this case, they are paying Iran for the drones that they're getting with some missiles that Iran might be able to make better use of than their drones. I don't know. But they're also perhaps, you're starting to see Russia and Ukraine jockeying for position, knowing that there are probably some peace talks coming up before too long to put an end to that war. At least if Donald Trump gets elected, there's going to be some peace talks, you can bet. And so this incursion that Ukraine has made into Russia is in large part a move to try to pick up bargaining chips for the negotiating table. There are some other reasons for that that I've talked about already on another live I did over on my channel. So folks, if you haven't gone there yet, go over to what was that, youtube.com/@hotzonepodcast. I think that's right. Somebody try that link and tell me if that works. You can go over to the Hot Zone Podcast and subscribe over there and get my commentary on a lot more than you get here, and also have a chance to ask a lot more questions and get your questions answered. Cisco asks, since the enemies of Israel love attacking on Jewish holidays, why is it far-fetched to think they will attack on Tish B'Av? I don't think it's far-fetched that they would attack on a Jewish holiday. I think that they have bigger things to worry about. Maybe if everything was all ready, if they got everything all set up, maybe they would choose Tish B'Av. I guess we'll find out in about 24 hours or so whether they're going to attack then. But the problem is getting all of their missile launchers ready is a very easy to spot activity. And so when they start getting all their launchers out and lining them all up and getting them in place, the United States and Israel are already going to know before they fire the missiles that they're preparing. Now, One of the ways that they have tried to, again, sort of head fake, straight out of the Russian playbook, is they have started performing exercises with their missiles along the border and in that area, where they're actually shooting some missiles and they're lining up missile launchers and doing basically all the things that they would do to do an attack. But they're saying, no, these are just training exercises. We're just training. And they're doing that because they don't want to get a preemptive strike by Israel to take out all those missile launchers. Now, why it matters that they're out there just doing training, even if they're telling the truth about that, which is debatable, why Israel doesn't take that opportunity to go ahead and blow them up so that they cannot be used in a offensive capacity is beyond me. Well, I mean, you know, let's just say that the leadership of the IDF is more cautious than I would be. And if I was in charge, we'd probably already be in a regional war. So I'm not saying I should be in charge by any stretch, but I'm just much more likely to resort to the kinetic option, and that, you know, just because of my background, right? I mean, I raised 5 kids, so you know how that goes. I'm kidding. Are they responding to the rockets that are getting fired at them every day, or are they just shooting them down? Stephen, they're doing both. They are, you're talking about the rockets from the north. The IDF is pretty much constantly flying sorties into Lebanon and blowing things up. They also have, very likely, assets on the ground, Mossad, whatever, who are inside Lebanon, identifying things that need to be blown up, and perhaps blowing them up themselves. So some of the explosions that we've seen in Lebanon may not have been caused by an airstrike or a drone. Some of them might have actually been a roadside bomb that was put in place, or a car bomb that was put in place by Mossad. I've been reading this book I've been telling you about called Rise and Kill First, about the history of the Mossad. And they have a long, long history of blowing things up inside Lebanon. And so it stands to reason that they would be doing that now in some cases. Does that make sense? Okay, let's see here. I would have ended the war decisively. Yes, I would have, dadgummit. Hot mess. Okay, how much of a wild card is North Korea in this potential conflict? Well, they're pretty far away. North Korea is killing people in Ukraine via Russia by giving North Korean missiles or selling them to Russia. A North Korean missile just killed several people today in a city in Ukraine. And that's pretty bad. You know, but that's the extent to which they can be involved, is just by supplying the belligerent parties with missiles and ammunition and stuff. They're not going to, you know, motor over here in a speedboat and shoot at Israelis or anything like that, right? Okay, so somebody just asked, Jerry Fox said, as a Christian, do you personally get emotional just being in Israel? At times. You know, I'm such an emotional guy. You can tell if you've been watching my lives. I'm just a terribly emotional guy. I'm just a big teddy bear. And so, you know, I just will be walking down the street sometimes in Jerusalem and just go, No, I'm kidding. I'm joking. I'm not actually known for being super emotional, but there have been times, I will be honest with you, when I've been in the Garden Tomb, for example. We were there Easter morning, and that was an incredibly powerful experience. If you had ever told this little guy from a small town in Nevada that one day I'd be celebrating Easter at the Garden Tomb in Jerusalem, I would have never believed it. But it was amazing to go to the sunrise service there this year and get to see that. Going into the Church of the Holy Sepulchre is pretty powerful when you think about it. I got to be the only person inside the church that was built over the rock where Jesus prayed in the Garden of Gethsemane. They believe they know exactly which rock he knelt on to pray, because there was a praying rock in the Garden of Gethsemane, nice flat rock where people went to pray. And so they built a church over it and made the rock into the altar at the front of the church. And one time I got to go there, and I walked in, I was the only person in there, and I went up to the rock where Jesus sweat drops of blood and knelt and prayed for my family. And that was an emotional moment. That was a powerful moment. So yes, now day to day, I'm usually running around just trying not to get run over in the street out here, or trying to, find something I need or get something done, or, whatever. And so on a day-to-day basis, it's not super emotional for me to be here, but those are the times when I have been. What areas and cities to set on our Shofar app? Chloe Lane, I leave all of them turned on so I can see any missiles that are coming to any part of Israel. Okay, so I wouldn't go set any particular places on there. Just leave it the way it on the default. The Nasty Investor, can Americans move to Israel and join the Jewish military and fight with them? No. Not unless you make aliyah. And to do that, you've got to have some kind of Jewish background, Jewish roots, or I believe there is a very convoluted and difficult way for goy, for goyim, I guess they're called, non-Jews to become Jewish, but it's not easy. So not a lot of people do it. And also, where are we in the book of Revelation? I don't know. It's a good question. Every morning I kind of step out of my room and look around and wonder that to myself. Where are we in Revelation today? I haven't seen any, swarms of locusts or anything today, so I think we're doing all right. Now, let me see here. I want to go back because we were waiting on a question and it never showed up unless I missed it. Where was it? Where was it? One tired mama. Cindy Hurd was going to ask a question, and I didn't see any of her questions. Did she ask her question? Deborah, I got to scroll back down here and just see if she did. Wow, thank you for that donation. Very kind of you. I don't see Cindy Hurd's question, so I guess her question was whether or not she could ask a question. Okay. Or maybe she's still writing it. She was going to ask a question about Ukraine. Water, Wind, Wine Ministries says, I saw in Shofar there were many strikes yesterday and there were hostile aircraft reported. Is hostile aircraft also drones, or were there actual fighters? No, they're only drones because Hezbollah doesn't have any aircraft to speak of. They don't have any airplanes. So when they say hostile aircraft, they mean drones. And so I hope that answered your question. Yeah, thank you for your donation. I appreciate that. National Fruitcake Outlet didn't send me a... Are you sending me a T-shirt? I want a T-shirt. Is that actually your business? Because I definitely want a T-shirt from that business. Jimmy the Jew from Philly is yelling at National Fruitcake Outlet over there, but I didn't see where he said. I guess I missed what he said. Sorry. So if we're going to talk about Ukraine, we probably should do it on a different live. So I'm going to go over to my channel, and I have a live, because I have a personal story about my own experience inside Lebanon and how I almost got killed in Lebanon the first time I went on my first solo trip to the country. And I'm not talking about, oh, when people say, oh, gee, I almost got killed because that bus almost. No, I really almost died in Lebanon. And so I've been waiting for a time to just tell this story and add that to my channel. So if you would like me to do it live, I will do it live right now. If you don't, I'll just film it and then put it up later as a video you can watch. But Hootie and the Pipeline Fish, you guys are amazing. Dire Straits. What is the general temperament around Israel? Fearful, determined? No, they're just going about their business. The Israelis are just doing their thing. Of course, you can find Israelis who are protesting in front of the Prime Minister's house, right a few blocks from where I'm standing. You can find Israelis who are, really worried about this or that. But I have to say, I walked down to the mall. There's an open air shopping mall down close to the old city here. I walked down there, right before this live to get something to eat and run to the store. And there's just people just milling around. There's a guy playing a guitar. There's a street preacher out there who accosted me that had watched he recognized me, had been watching the show. I told him I would mention him on the live tonight. So this guy, he carries a sign around that he's trying to help fight BDS. That's boycott, divest, and sanction. That's the movement of leftist liberals trying to destroy Israel economically by not supporting them in any way, shape, or form with their money. So he has a website called productofisrael.com, productofisrael.com, and they are fighting that BDS movement. He also has a website called unitedjerusalem.com. So anyway, this guy goes around with this placard on. I've seen him before. He has a loudspeaker and he goes around and I don't know if he's preaching or what he's doing because it's mostly not in English. But he recognized me down there. We talked for just a little bit right before I had to run back here to go live. So Chloe Lane says, my heart is drawing me to Israel. Don't even care for the dangers. I'm telling you, this is one of the reasons I do these lives, because I want you to know what it's really like being here. And you are looking at this live. There are no bombs going off. There are no air raid sirens. Nothing is destroyed. Right across from me, there is a hotel. That building, well, it's dark now, but you can see some of the balconies there. That hotel is still housing refugees from the north, from Kiryat Shimona. And it's been almost 10 months? You got to feel really sorry for those people. They finally opened the swimming pool over there, so at least they have a pool to go lay out by. But man, you got to feel sorry for those people. But I want to do these lives to let you know that things are not falling apart here. People are doing their thing. They're living their lives. And it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. So with that in mind, let's say a prayer and we'll be done. And then I'll go over to the Hot Zone with Chuck Holton and I'll do a live there and tell you about my exciting story about almost getting killed in Lebanon. Okay, we'll pray. Lord Jesus, we just ask right now that you would lay your hand on Israel, that you would bring peace to this land. Lord, that you would send your Holy Spirit to convict the hearts of men in Israel and in the other countries around her, especially her enemies. I pray that you would just convict them of their sin and that you would cause them to cry out to you and be saved. Lord, I know there are people watching this who are Jews and they don't pray like we pray, but Lord, just make yourself real to them. Make yourself real to them. Let them know that they can cry out to you in their distress, in their hardship, and they can talk to you directly, just like I am right now. Lord, we pray that you would thwart the plans of evil men and that you would continue to answer our prayers and cause division and dissension among the ranks of the enemy. Cause them to fight each other and let their missiles and drones fall on their own heads, Lord. We pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, that's all I got for today. Thank you for watching. And again, if you go over to the Hot Zone with Chuck Holton, right now I'm going to very quickly go over there and start another stream. And you can get on and listen to me tell you about my story about Lebanon. So have a good one. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time.